All right, family. All right. Family, what's going on this morning? The 15th of April, 2025, early this morning, right, family? How we doing today? A good morning to y'all. I hope that you are having a powerful and impactful Tuesday morning as we march ever closer to, well, for the wrestling fan out there, as we march ever closer to WrestleMania, right? Really not much to say on wrestling right now. Family, from the point of view of your boy here, a lot of this is kind of what I witnessed before the start of AEW back in, I want to say it was 2019. Some of it's very lackluster. We were revisiting some things here, trying to go from the old guard to the new guard as John Cena is doing whatever John Cena is doing, and while I like CM Punk on a serious level as far as a person who kind of, this stone cold kind of against the establishment type thing, he has become very pseudo in many ways because the man is chasing the bag. Again, it's an unfortunate trope in history where we start chasing the bag, family. And again, I guess if you want to say it this way, this temptation comes to us all. But there's just something about lifetime, of longevity where we just don't. That's not what this is about. This is really about people, family. So there's some things there with CM Punk. Whether y'all like Seth Rollins, you don't like Seth Rollins. Again, this is for the wrestling head out there. So I'm not, take this as a grain of salt as you will, right? Yeah. Wrestling to me, the tag matches that are coming up. Of course, they're taking some tropes from black culture and stuff, where you got Naomi fighting Jade Cargill, a couple sisters fighting in the street, where we've seen that before, right? So there's just certain things here. And again, we understand art imitates life. Sports entertainment, as wrestling is called, right, is different than your high school wrestling teams and collegiate and professional, i.e. like on the Olympics wrestling teams, right? That's not really what's going on. But, art imitates life. And in this case, it's, some of this is lackluster. So I'm sure we'll get some entertainment. If Jey Uso beats Gunther, I don't know why. When you watch wrestling TV, they kind of, and again, I do apologize, family, for us who, for those who this ain't your thing, but just hang in there, right? Because we're gonna get into a good topic today on the subject of overthinking. This will be a good topic for us all today, right? So. But yeah, the Jey Uso Gunta, respecting the different cultures and languages across the planet is probably at its lowest point. It's at its highest point right now, but it's at its lowest point, especially when you're talking over here in the United States. We have a high, the bias, the high bias. Europe 2.0 is at work, right? And as we say here on this podcast, and an appreciation even for European cultures over here in Europe 2.0. But then again, that just fits the trope, right? So everybody is calling, the idea the man is Austrian, kind of hails like this German Supreme Reich type stuff, but they're calling him Gunther. He came out with a bunch of other cats back, a couple years back, and the name of their tag team stable was Imperium, and everything. It's the arms behind the back, and we're duck walking, and it's prim and proper and all, you know what I mean? But then when they announce him on the mic, it's Gunther, like. Put a little, we're just saying, if everybody believes in AI and algorithms and all this. So if this gets out in the air, hey man, can we just have pronunciations for each other, man? Can we do that? Oh man. Anyway, that's just your boy talking on that. aspect of it. So Jey Uso, we hope, well, again, we'll beat the brakes off, dude. And again, in the classic trope, something that we will mention today, as far as some happenings in DC this morning, we get some recognition because that's the issue is the recognition. We got culture being taken away. We got inside of our own people groups where we're trying to fight for identity, and fight to support each other and all that kind of thing. But as an external stimuli, if you will, right, an external catalyst kind of thing. Finding identity is a real thing, right? You're watching Identity Crisis in real time, right around your family, okay? So, welcome in us. With that said, welcome in us who are the almost 1,200 plus strong, right? We haven't done really, any real advertisement other than the fact that, we speak on the podcast of, where we're found. So we're found on YouTube at A Different View 80. You can find, the podcast A Different View there. We'd fixed an issue where there was, it was only shown privately, so we fixed it toward the public. So now, again, let your friends know you can find it anywhere. You can find us any and everywhere, right? I'm hearing my fierce protector there in the background, Fiona, moving around there, y'all. So my apologies. There is, you can find us on Apple Podcasts. It's been a while since I mentioned that. You can find us on Apple Podcasts. You can find us on Spotify, of course, right? All of it is called A Different View. The artist name is mine, KJ, right? So that's what you find. That's where you find it. Again, y'all can shout me out in the comments. We've already had a comment drop. Shout out to the family, man, the support, the bloodline, y'all, right? Talking about wrestling, the bloodline family, right? Us humanity that share not only just, each other's separate families, but us as humanity family. That's why I talk this way. Too long now, I keep looking in history. I keep looking at science. Family down here, y'all. We are family. We all we got. And it's time that we start utilizing each other better. That's the position here on this podcast, family. I mean, you can call it sappy, you whatever you feel best to kind of rationalize it in your mind. This is what we've been given, and we got to do better. Okay? It's time to stop using the Bible as a tool of harm and start using the holy text to set people free. That's where we're at on this podcast. Right. I do not look at some of the old tropes and I always use the word trope. Same kind. I don't look at some of the old kind of just always the way we done it as the way to do it. That there is a new way. Right. Israel was trying to get away from Egypt, and we're talking about separating water from land as it was done during creation to create the planet. That was a new way of getting away from your enemy. Okay, too long have we sat in the shadow of looking at tradition, not realizing how alive and vibrant it really is. And many times you got to say it a different way, hence a different view, right? So just to break away from the open right there. Welcome in us who are the almost 1,200 plus strong, who believe in, who love, who seek after, hunger and thirst for that which is a different view. Family, welcome in. Today we're going to start off here. Of course, the topic is about overthinking, right? There is a thing where we need to think, and we as a society have been bred to not think. We've been bred to work. We've been bred to play, right? We've been bred to do a whole lot of mess, but we have not been trained to execute in a level of excellence, to think. That's not it. The mathematics you've been taught is so that you can add ones and twos for masses' bank account. Not yours. Talking about breaking down the Department of Education again, like we spoke about a couple of episodes ago. Again, what are we going to teach our kids? If we're doing it from homeschooling, if the states are going to screw with funding, whatever it is, how is that going to work, family? There are certain elements we missed from the jump. All the way back to when our parents were bringing us to Sunday school. This is for the 40 and the 50-year-old out there. And again, those who were older, who were our parents and grandparents, 60, 70, 80, 90s, operated in high levels of deception because the man wants you on the bottom. We're going to keep saying it on this podcast, family. Again, repetition is necessary for learning. Okay? So you hear me say a lot of things repeatedly. That's not because I got nothing to say. It's because it's necessary to say. Because a lot of people don't. One, they don't believe it. And two, you got to get something down on the inside of you to understand the thing. In your mind, in your heart, in your psyche. Memorization, family, comes by you repeatedly looking at something. Emancipation Day is today, family. It's the 16th of April. It's celebrated in D.C. Don't know why it's not celebrated across the nation, on the planet, because you're talking about freedom of a group of people that share ancestry on this planet from the master that they called back then massa. A pseudo master to that which is the maker of this planet. Something that Christians had high, that people who believed in the thing. Jews also owned slaves, by the way, family. That's something you can look up. I'm not being anti-Semitic. That's a real thing. Sick when I found that out. But you love God, though. See, this is why we again, judgment starts in the house of God, family. The Bible's not wrong when it says that. Judgment starts in God's house. We're not going to sit here and do this kind of thing. Oh, it was so long ago, KJ. We're not doing that. Too much in the mentality of people today is the roots are back then. And you see it and you hear it come out in their mouth. You hear it come out in how they talk about a thing, how they act on things. And the longer that we keep going on in life, the more those patterns are shown. That's why we say that life has certain patterns, family. Based off of how people think, based off of how they act, based off of what they're drawn to, what they're geared to doing. That's a real thing. Right? Again, we had spoken on the enmity, talking about that in Genesis. There is a certain, again, the serpent or the snake in the grass, family, right, has a certain nature, and it will always oppose that which is not a snake in the grass, a person who is up front, a person who is not trying to deceive someone, right? Again, we had looked up the word deceive, dealing with something that you think will actually benefit you, but it's not, that put there sometimes by somebody else, right? Let's just look up the word deceive here really quick. You know, we're not really looking to take up too much of your time today because this is not what this is. So deceive from Oxford's dictionary, or if you like to put a little bit of that English in your Oxford's dictionary, right? A person is a verb, a person cause, or of a person to cause someone to believe something that is not true. Like the fact that the Negro is only coming from Africa. Like the fact that the woman is solely help for the man. Like the fact that the kids have no say. Shout out to our Mexican brothers and sisters that had to endure lynching the same as the black man and woman. See, again, you don't realize that this sick circus was taken on the road everywhere. Europe really thought themselves to be the maker. And they had help from other nations. Again, when we talk about the things that went over in Africa, we understand our Arabian brothers and sisters had some work to do with that, okay? Again, we had spoken on the gunpowder given over in England. Asian brothers and sisters they had their hand in that. Okay. A lot of death and deception and destruction going on in the 13, 14, 15, 1600s. We understand. We understand. 17, 1800s. We get that. You know, the 17 and 1800s is the part that we kind of recognize, but you forget about the 400 years before that, at least, right? Emancipation Day, family. Yeah, our Mexican brothers and sisters had it too, man. Look up the hanging tree in Texas. That, if I'm not mistaken, is still there. It's a reminder of what massa will do to you, family. We are connected by the destruction in which, not only connected just as humans, but also connected by the destruction in which other groups of people cause to us. We have less differences than they make it to seem. Deception, you see. Someone causing you to believe something that is not true. Now look at the back half of the definition. Typically in order to gain some personal advantage. Where have we seen that, family? That then people who are opposed in thought to things like this will be like, oh, well, you're here in this country. You should be happy you're here in this country. We was already here in this country. See, when they talk about consciousness, family, right? Just the word. I'm not talking about like some movement or something like that. We're talking about words, definitions, thoughts, ideas, right? When you are conscious of yourself, when you're aware, that's what the word consciousness means. Let's again, not really to take up a lot of time here, but again, conscious. Excuse me, let me just grab a little tea here real quick. My apologies for all that noise you heard. Sometimes the morning voice will get your boy, right? Conscious from Oxford's dictionary, right? Aware of and respond. This is an action as adjective describing an action and what you're doing, right? Aware of and responding to one's surroundings. Awake. That's what conscious means. This ain't no spooky, new age, neo nothing. This is what people do. You are conscious when you should be, when you're driving on the road. Clearly, family, we know. We know there's people on the road. They are not conscious. They are highly distracted. You know, I had learned in the thing, just dealing in some things in my own life, that it's good to have healthy distractions, family. But like we had said last time, we had spoke here, we are distracted in our distractions. That's when it's over and out of balance. Aware of and responding to one's surroundings, aka awake. Sensitive to. Here's some other ones. Painfully aware of. This is to our empaths one time. I know what people are gonna tell you because we done heard it already. But we're talking about those who are sensitive, moved with compassion, family. Don't you let people bamboozle you, swindle you. These are some other old school words, right? They say. Out of that, which is the reality, slapping you right in the face. People are conscious of what's going on around them, right? Having knowledge of something. Again, they repeat aware. This is what people who are conscious, they know the man is looking to screw them. They already know it, right? And again, this thing can't be done onesies and twosies, family. We got to band together to be able to keep up a banner, right? And a protection, a defense. That's what's sick what the nations are doing with the military. They're all playing back and forth. That's why I do want to sit here and play around with China. And I'm not really going to talk too much about it because it's not really much to talk about. Nations of the world been going on. See, we're ignoring history here is the problem. Nations of you look at China's history, family. History is most qualified to reward all our research. You already got the story in your hand. Flip open your phone and start looking at, literally, I'm being for real. Look at China's history, family. Lord, help me say a thing today, man. You become too proudful, and there's a penalty you pay for it. And family, you ought to get yourself as far away from massa as possible. This thing is very, very real. This is no different than this, again, we use this as reference. So for those on the podcast here who again are aware of the idea that a lot of these people groups that were being taken over in Israel in the Old Testament were black, could possibly have been, let's just say it that way for the fun of it, black folks, right? So when you get to the whole AI story and that thing is taken over, and then you take in stuff you should not be taking, right? Let's just, let's just do this in real time so that we are not misquoting. I do not want to misquote. Let Snoopy play in the background here just to give some fun. So the Bible story of AI and your boy Achan, an Israelite, right? This is in the book of Joshua. You can find this story. Taking and touching the thing you should not. Again, the movie Poltergeist lets you know about a thing. Leave certain things alone because they have rewards or consequences. And in this case, we're talking the consequences that are wrapped around how you mess with people. Again, for the bully coon in the black community, stop hurting your people. You have been deceived to thinking that that is what's going to... I know you learned it on the plantation. Our ancestors learned this stuff very well. Massa put you in a position to be able to hurt your other brother and sister. Like the Sambo in the story of Uncle Tom's Cabin. Bullying people. Gang folk bullying people. There is a consequence to that. You are hurting your infrastructure. You're not building it up. And of course, the personal advantage in the game there would be that money you rolling around in, right? That Bugatti, right? Lamborghini kind of old. What's some of these? Maybach, right? Maybach music. Shout out to Rick Ross one time. Again, we as an artist and the ability, the influence on the brother, we understand that. Okay. But we're talking about breaking down communities through hustling and drug peddling and nope. And then when somebody comes out and they talk about it, you gonna kill them? You gonna kill them? No snitching. But mama raised you to tell when something's going on wrong. Speaking of which, yeah, so Achan, just to tie this off, Achan took what they wasn't supposed to take, what he wasn't supposed to take, paid the price. The people paid the price, as a matter of fact. The people, for what folks are doing. See, again, we want to get away from this idea that, because my daddy did it, I ain't got to, I'm my own person. Unfortunately, you're going to pay the price for what he did. You're going to pay the price for what your mama did. You're going to pay the price for those who are closest to you. This is the game, y'all. So again, you may want to get yourself away as far as now. When we're talking about kids, we understand that, okay? But we hang around family members doing, and when we say family, we mean both family, and your adopted family. Man, get yourself away from people because there are things attached to these folks, man. I'm good. right? We're good, family. There again, get around those who are about life and godliness. This foolishness on the mind, yeah, no, we're good over here. We're good over here. No will to you, nothing like that, grace and peace and all. But okay. That thing affected the camp, family. So much so they had to kill that man. Enjoy them high healthcare costs, man. yo, the lawyer thing, the legal system, screwed. Because the pirates that came to these lands in the 14, 15, and 1600s took something they should not have touched. We talking Emancipation Day, family. Right now we are, right? Tie off the start with Emancipation, continue on here. 1862, good old Abraham Lincoln. Man, family, I tell you what, when it comes to those genuosity, right? Genuine. I'm not going to go into the word genuine right now. I have no time. I'm not, again, like we said, we're not trying to take up your time here. Let me see if I can find, the quote, man. Let me see if I can find it. Abe Lincoln talking about how much he loved the Negro. And honestly, he really didn't. He really never said anything that he loved the Negro, right? And everything was to keep the Union together, family. This is also something that you find out when you study history about what's going on with your boy Abraham Lincoln. It's about keeping the Union together. This has got nothing to do with the people there making your union. You don't care about that. It's the money, the stuff you get from the people who make up the union, y'all. You have to be careful. Yeah, you got to be careful. We'll say it in the bed. You got to be careful of what's going on around you, y'all, because we are affected by the mess that goes on around us. I can't find this quote here, but Abraham Lincoln had a whole lot to say. Again, this idea where the black person, the so-called black person, is, and if I might interject here while we talking, man, this new Handmaid's Tale season, man, oh man, what deception. What a good show. What a good show. Thank you to you, honey, for inviting me into that world, man, because I tell you what, shout out to the missus one time, man. Jesus. Yeah. It's sickness on the minds, family. It's sickness in the hearts and minds of people. Well, we'll give it a few more seconds here just to see if we can find where I reposted it. Quotes from 4 different presidents, family. 4 different presidents telling you how worthless us as the Negro is in perception to the ones who stole this land, gave it to their friends, gave it to their descendants. There we go. On cue. That was cool. President Lincoln's quote, y'all can search it online. There's a physical difference between the white and black races. Again, we got to say so-called because at one point those words were not used. We're talking about when you're aware of study to show thyself approved, family. Unto God, man. You see, especially as the Christian, when we talked about this with Marvin Sapp, the organization he belonged to, this Pentecostal assemblies around the world, the white Christians left their black Christians. That's where you get certain denominations inside the Pentecostal church, just like you have in the Methodist church. But you love Jesus, though. And y'all are worried about the Jezebel, which is who is screwing who? Talk about omitting, the weightier matters of the law. There is a physical difference between the right. This is what they grew. This is the sick knowledge given to folks that our ancestors grew up in back then. You telling me that's not going to get passed down over time? People really believe they are superior to you. That's the way they act in the store when they shopping. That's why we spoke about that last time. Again, as a parent, you're letting your kids just run around all over. That's not the place to run around, family. We understand there's a level of fun and all that kind of thing with shopping. That ain't the time to go just you running up and down the aisles, can't find your kids. Some of these places, right? Certain home improvement stores and all that kind of stuff, they're running in between pallets of heavy product, family. What if that stuff was to come down on them? Yo, and then they're the first ones to go suing the company. Nah, sue yourself. You see what we're saying? We're done over here, family. Watch it. I understand we got 4 and 5 of these rugrats running all around and we, I get it, right? Our choice to have these kids, we get it, right? Of course, there's a financial kickback to having kids. That's besides the point. Okay, that's not really what we're supposed to be having them for. We'll leave that alone. Okay. But you gotta what? Something. These folks body snatching up kids, man. We got rappers beefing over pedophilia. Come on now. Anyway, there is a physical difference between the white and black races, which I believe will forever forbid the two races living together. This is a lie, by the way. This is deception. Again, there are a group of people, some who have passed down. So again, when we talk about this serpent and the enmity, right? And then you tie that in with the devil and leaving God and the third of the angels and all that kind of stuff. If you use that as an analogy, not the actual spiritual moment, but we're talking about as an analogy in which Jewish people speak. This opens up another thought, family. That there's groups of people, right? One group you can clearly see, the KKK, although you have the right to choose, okay? And other very many. So there are so many of these groups, just like there's so many of us on the opposite side, family, right? This is the enmity. This is what it is. And we can find ways to live in peace around it. There's no need to question it. Why are things this way? This is the way. Again, as Run DMC told us, it's like that. And that's the way it is. So we can choose to live together or not, right? We're going to have to recognize each other. On both sides, it's going to take some work. Never mind. Again, we are not discrediting that there's a group that we cannot hang with. We understand that, okay? And this planet is big enough. A whole lot of square miles to this planet, family. Habitable land, by the way. Don't stop doing this. Some places, KJ, you can't live. Please let go of the defense in the mind, man. These excuses not helping, right? While they do remain together, there must be the position of superior and inferior. And I, as much as any man, am in favor. This is your president. Emancipation Day. I am in favor of having the superior position assigned to the white race. Again, now he was Republican, right? Let's not forget the quote. Oh, man. Yo. Let's not forget the quote from one Mr. Lyndon B. Johnson. Speaking to the poor white man and woman. Okay? This, again, we talking about in conjunction with your people. If you can convince the lowest white man he's better than the best colored man. You see, again, deception. He won't notice you're picking his pocket. And right now, family, you are watching your pocket be picked in the supermarket. You're watching it be picked at the gas station. You're watching it be picked apart. See what your Bible lets you know. What the Bible says is that you will be made into merchandise. Merchandise, family. The same merchandise that was the black man and woman, our Mexican man and woman, our native. They turned them again. They used the native to hunt down black people. The hunting ability they've been given to gain food for themselves on this land. The serpent came into the garden and lied to someone. Turned them against people they should not have been. Like Adam being against Eve before God. And we got these 6 actions going on today before the Maker. Right? Whether you are a Christian or not, these rules apply. That's why you see certain results that you see today, family. Right? 2 Peter. Chapter 2, verse 3, and many shall follow their lecturies. Again, this is talking about folks coming in deception. By whom the way of truth shall be blasphemed. So stay woke, family. They can keep making fun of woke all you want to. Raise the, let's say it, right? Black folks, stay encouraged. Be encouraged. Be strong and very courageous. That's what your Bible says. Keep one black fist up in the air in unity and solidarity with every dark skin tone and brown skin tone person on this planet that God has made. You're meant to be free and live free and be at peace. No, you keep one fist in the air and know that there is deception going on around you. Be a place of refuge for each other, no matter what your relationship is, no matter what your, says they use the term sexual orientation is, be a place of refuge. Because they mean to destroy you. That's how this works. Use you long enough to destroy you. Again, by whom the way of truth shall be blasphemed, verse 3. That was verse 2, verse 3. And they shall make merchandise of you in covetousness by feigned words. Merchandise, family. Something to be bought and traded. That's what merchandise is, man. Again, from Oxford's dictionary, is a noun, goods to be bought and sold. That's all they see of you. Using cute words to get you that way. As a verb, check this out, since we like to spend so much. Promote the sale of goods, and this is for us all, right? Again, the more and more that I'm realizing here, spending, we've been using spending improperly. Hey. You can't spend all day eating. You can't spend all day screwing. You can't spend all day drinking. You can't spend all day smoking. You can't spend all day spending your money. There has to be a balance of things. Promote the sale of goods, especially by their presentation in retail outlets. Again, they're using a lot of, this is what we're talking about with WWE. That's why you need your own black promotion. Sports in general. You really don't want us there. You want us for what we can be presented as in your retail store. Merchandise. That is not how God made us, right? That's not how God made us, man. No, the Compensation Act, to end this off, the Compensated Emancipation Act in 1862, written by Mr. Lincoln, freed over 3,000 enslaved folks in D.C., aka Chocolate City. Shout out Chocolate City one time, right? You figure out why there's so many Negroes over in D.C. right now. The federal government paid. This is the compensated part. Well, who do you think the federal government paid? Do you think they paid the slave money for being enslaved? Do you think that's what the case is? Well, we chase reparations. I did not say they're not supposed to pay. No, I did not say that at all. But we chasing that instead of us banding together and getting our thing done. And although you have black developers in Ohio where it's the so-called white woman thinks it makes sense to bring her precious babies up there and get her husband involved in harassing another black person, it's time for black developers to come together and build communities inside this great nation where we can live in peace. And then be prepared to protect yourself, because no different than Tulsa, Oklahoma. They're going to come to try to burn it down. Again, this is the enmity between those who are serpent-like and those who are not. The federal government paid the slave owner up to $300. They can't pay you 1 red cent. They gave them $300 back then. The amount is up to, I think, in certain things as you study about it, it's like $9,000 today. That was actually, I think, 2024. Little old $9K. Not even a drop in a bucket. That's a tax write-off for most folks. On some level, right? $300 to the owner operating in sin. But they was free. They was free though. They was free. Hey, here's voluntary colonization, man. The act also included provisions for the voluntary colonization of former slaves to locations outside of the United States. When you look back into the 1800s, this is where you get stuff like Liberia, the creation of Liberia. That's something you can study on the back end. Where freed black folks went to Africa. They paid them to do it. Just look it up. Again, we're not going to do it for time. Maybe we'll revisit it another time, another day. But, with payments offered to those who chose to leave. That you can find in the National Archives. That's the National Archives, District of Columbia Emancipation Act. So archives.gov in the search bar, the District of Columbia Emancipation Act. You can go look and see what's going on. Okay. So we read a verse. We're going to read some stuff here again. Overthinking, man. Overthinking. Start off in John 21. And then we'll end here. We're already 40 some odd minutes in. So we're going to end here. Thank y'all, family, for hanging in there today. Right. After these things, Jesus showed himself again to the disciples at the Sea of Tiberias. And on this wise, he showed himself. Together were Simon Peter, Thomas, Nathanael of Cana in Galilee, the sons of Zebedee. 2 other disciples. We're not going into who they were and all that kind of thing. Simon Peter said unto them, I'm going fishing. They said to him, we'll go with you. They all went forth into the ship immediately. That night they caught nothing. So this is night into the morning. The morning was come now. Jesus stood on the shore, but the disciples did not know it was him. Verse 5, Jesus said, children, do you got anything to eat? Did you get anything? Did you catch anything? They told him no. He said, cast your net on the right side of the ship and you shall find. They cast therefore, and now they were not able to draw in the net for the multitude of fishes. Again, I'm reading from the King James Version. We're fishing in the wrong places, family. Anyway, we're going to have to go to another side, y'all. Again, a different view. Therefore, the disciple whom Jesus loved said unto Peter, "It is the Lord." Now, when Simon Peter heard that it was the Lord, he girded his fisher's coat on to him, for he was naked. Again, for y'all who have an issue with nudity. Now, again, he's in front of God. So we, the Son of God, Son of Man, it's time to put on clothes. We understand that. But again, these people were nudity is just to tie in that whole thing with Emma Frost, y'all. I don't know. Y'all keep going with it. Anyway. And he did cast himself into the sea, so on and so on. We're gonna let that go. We're gonna let that go for a second. While they're eating, right? The net wasn't broken. They got 153 fishes out that thing. The net wasn't broken, right? Verse 12. Jesus told them, "Come and dine." While they're at dinner, this is after Jesus was risen from the dead. Verse 14. Now, this is the third time that Jesus showed himself to his disciples after he was risen from the dead. So when they had dined, Jesus said, Peter, Simon Peter, son of Jonas, lovest thou me more than these? He said unto him, Yea, Lord, you know that I love you. He said back to Simon Peter now. This is a guy who's going to have issues with prejudice and all this kind of stuff come the book of Acts, right? This is the one gets crucified upside down, all that kind of thing, right? Feed my lambs. Feed the young ones, family. Never mind. He said unto him a second time, Simon, son of Jonas, do you love me? Said unto him, you know I love you. Okay, feed my sheep. Feed the older ones, family. Feed the middle-aged ones. I'm going to leave it alone. He said unto him the third time. Now he's getting upset. And then Jesus told him again to feed his sheep. Sometimes we got to revisit a thing, family, because we miss it. This is something that we're all susceptible to. Right? The overthinking part here is take no thought. That's where this overthinking thing is here. And, again, we went on a little bit. It's been a while since we spoke. Okay, so this is over now we were reading out of John 21, the beginning of that chapter. This is Matthew 6, right? Again, we've read from Matthew 6 before, but we're going to read off this awesome part of it here, talking about forgiving men their trespasses, right? This is the Lord's Prayer, all that kind of thing. Forgive not trespasses, so on and so forth. You get down into 24, where no man can serve two masters. This is what we talked about. You're going to hate one or love the other. Then it gets into this whole thing of take no thought. When you see the term take no thought, it's the Greek. In the Greek, it means MERIMNAW, which means or signifies anxious, concerned, or to worry. That's what happens by the time you start overthinking, family. So when you see in this verse and it's telling you take no thought for your clothes, take no thought for your life. Another one here that talks about this is verse 27 in Matthew 6. Which one of you by taking thought can add 1 cubit to your stature? That's the question from Jesus to his disciples. Ain't nobody got taller by that. I suffer with this just like anybody else. But the encouragement is stop doing it. Plan your life. Oh, yes, you should plan your life. But to the point where you're worrying, where you're just thinking and thinking. No, 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 no. While we are supposed to be people of thought, absolutely, and we need to return to it. At the end of the day, overthinking is as dangerous as can be, right? That's where we're going to stop, family, because we have talked long enough. We have talked more than enough, right? Thank you very much, family, for walking this road with me. Shout out to the family of A Different View, man. Thank y'all very much for your support and walking this road with me. And as always, and until next time, look to find the beauty in a different view.